James Gunn's Superman could save the DC universe, or it could crash harder than the DCEU's Justice League. Same move, same risk, but maybe a totally different ending. Let's talk about the gamble that could make or break DC forever. After years of waiting, the cape takes flight again. But this time, Superman isn't just saving the day, he's rebooting an entire universe. James Gunn's Superman is the first chapter in a brand new DC universe. And here's the plot twist. He's starting his cinematic world with the exact same move many people think killed the last one, throwing multiple heroes into the mix before they've had solo movies. But this isn't 2013 anymore. Superheroes aren't rare. They're everywhere. Gunn's betting audiences are ready to walk into a DC universe that already feels lived in. So today, we're breaking down how the DCEU rushed and stumbled, how Gunn's plan is both similar and totally different, and why his Superman could turn a past blunder into his biggest win yet. And here's the story so far. It's 2013. Zack Snyder drops Man of Steel and Superman's back on the big screen. Broody, serious, a total 180, the movie does well enough for Warner Brothers to see dollar signs and say, okay, let's build our own cinematic universe. But instead of easing in with solo origin films, they swerve straight into Batman v Superman. It's like skipping dating and jumping straight to moving in together, messy, rushed, and full of red flags. Sure, we get Wonder Woman's big screen debut, but Aquaman, Flash, and Cyborg, they're introduced via email attachments. The Justice League was basically a shared Google Drive. By the time Justice League rolled around, the film had to do everything at once, introduce half its roster, give them arcs, and take on an alien invasion, while fitting into a 2-hour studio-mandated runtime. Unless, of course, you count Snyder's 4-hour cut, which actually worked better, but was released long after WB had already lost faith. The rest is a cocktail of studio meddling, constant leadership shakeups, and at one point, completely writing Superman out of the continuity. The result? The DCEU never felt like a living, breathing shared world. More like a patchwork quilt where half the squares were missing. Now here's where it gets interesting. Gunn's Superman, 2025, is also starting in a world already packed with heroes. We're talking Guy Gardner, Hawkgirl, Mr. Terrific, Metamorpho, the Engineer, maybe even Supergirl, and somewhere in the shadows, Ultraman. Sounds familiar, right? A bunch of costume do-gooders appearing before we've met them in their own movies. The difference? This time, audiences aren't coming in blind. We live in an era where people know who Hawkgirl is without needing a half-hour backstory, and Metamorpho sounds less like a cleaning product and more like a deep-cut DC legend. Gunn's banking on that familiarity, and on our willingness to just roll with a world that's already been saving itself for years. Back in 2013, if you asked the average moviegoer about Cyborg's origin, they'd probably shrug. Now, between animated series, CW shows, and years of MCU crossovers, audiences are used to being dropped into the middle of a superhero soap opera with zero prep. The days of spoon-fed origin stories are over. We've all got superhero cliff notes in our heads. Plus, Gunn's DCU isn't confined to just movies. He's telling one interconnected story across films, streaming series, and even video games. That means he doesn't have to force-feed us every detail in a 2-hour film. He can spread it out naturally. And unlike the DCEU, there's no ticking clock toward a Justice League movie. The League can form when the story says so, not the release schedule. The DCEU's downfall wasn't just that it moved too fast, it was that it didn't know where it was going. One minute it's gritty myth-making, the next it's quippy banter, and every time the audience blinked, the studio had changed course again. Gunn has something Snyder never did: the keys to the whole kingdom from day one. He's got a 10-year plan, no split leadership, and a track record of juggling bizarre characters and heartfelt storytelling in the same breath. Snyder built Greek gods in spandex. Gunn's building a family photo album where half the relatives are aliens. Make no mistake, this Superman isn't just another reboot. David Cornswit's Clark Kent is the cornerstone of the next decade of DC storytelling. The challenge? Balancing his personal journey with an ensemble of scene-stealing heroes. The risk? Superman becomes a guest star in his own movie. But the upside? We finally get to see him as part of a living, breathing hero community from the start, instead of the lonely god on a pedestal. When Superman hits theaters, keep an eye on how these other heroes are woven in. Are they there because the story needs them, or just to set up future spin-offs? Does the film manage to sprinkle in DC lore without feeling like homework? If Gunn can get that balance right, the DCU will start with a bang, not a stumble. In 1978, Richard Donner made us believe a man could fly. In 2013, Zack Snyder made us believe he could fall. In 2025, James Gunn wants us to believe in the DC universe again. The DCEU's rush left too many stories untold. Gunn isn't pretending that didn't happen. He's betting that we're ready to skip the hand-holding and dive into a world that already exists. Will it work? We'll know soon enough. But if Gunn's Superman gives us both a Clark Kent worth believing in and a DC world worth coming back to, then maybe we're about to watch history repeat itself in the best possible way.